really the prime mover for people to do the work that is necessary.
Average person, you and I have about 75,000 thoughts a day rattling around in this thing we call our brains and our minds. 75,000 of them. The crazy thing is 91% of those thoughts are identical to the previous day and are identical to the day before that and the day before that and the day before that.
You're not a procrastinator. You have a habit of procrastinating.
So most people never take the time to analyze what they think about. The most successful people I know are the most self-aware, meaning they're aware of what they do and they're also aware of what they think, they're aware of how they're perceived.
People like to give themselves this excuse, I do not have the energy to do this. Whatever. If you decide that, that's true. But if you watch a motivational videos, 100 of them on YouTube, thousands of them, go watch one, you get fired up, you're like, I'm gonna jump some rope. You jump some rope, you do something. Just do some push-ups, do something, do some bodyweight squats. You'll feel better. Someone maybe, but I think someone can teach you something. There's an issue. There's also an issue with whether or not you're used to doing it. It's like practically, it's like cross country pushing yourself. There's been many.
It's 9% of what we think about alters the direction of our life. So what I'm here to tell you today is you've got to hone in and get aware of what you think about and then alter those 9% of the thoughts that are variable on a daily basis.
You know, people are very, 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 very. And it turns out that if you face things, that you can put up with a lot more than you think, that you can do it without becoming corrupt. You have to be alert when you're suffering. You have to be alert to the beauty in life, the unexpected beauty in life. And, you know, you have to look for those little
He said in the book of Joel, I will restore the years that have been stolen.
Progress equals happiness, and if we can make progress on a regular basis, we feel alive. And that's why at the beginning of the year we get this thing like, okay, I got this fresh start. I can really do what my soul desires. I can expand. I can grow. I can improve. I can change. Or maybe better than change, I can progress. See, think about that progress. There's an aliveness to it, doesn't it? You don't have to work at changing. People say all the time now, well, I'm working on changing. Don't worry about it. You don't have to work on changing. Change is automatic. Your body's going to change whether you want it or not as the years go by. No matter how hard you work, there's going to be some changes going on there. The economy is going to change no matter what you want it to do. The weather is going to change. Relationships are going to change. Everything in life is always changing. We don't have to work on change. Change is automatic, but progress is not. So if you want to make real progress, then you really got to look at your life in a different way. You got to say, I got to take control of this process and not just hope it's going to work out like people do make a resolution.
You may have lost years because somebody else put you at a disadvantage, or years because of your own choices. God knows how to make up for it. He's still going to get you to where you're supposed to be. This is what happened to Joseph in the scripture. God gave him a dream, and one day he would rule a nation. In this dream, he saw his brothers without power through. Joseph showed his own wisdom and not told his brothers that part of the dream. Certain things you should keep to yourself. Some people can't handle what God's put in you. They won't celebrate you, they'll be jealous. One day Joseph went to see his 10 brothers. When he walked up, one of them said sarcastically, "Here comes the dream." They weren't upset because he was their father's favorite child. They weren't upset because he was wearing a coat of many colors, a coat that represents favor. They were upset because he had a dream. They were offended because he was determined to break out of the mold, to do something great, to leave his people. They would have been fine if he was content to be average, to accept the status quo. But when you stir up what God's put on the inside, believe that you have seeds of greatness, believe that you can overcome that illness, break the addiction, pay your house off, be blessed in spite of past mistakes. Let me warn you, everybody will not celebrate you. When you have a dream, you're going to have some detractors. People will get jealous, try to make you look bad, try to talk you out of it. Say things like, you really think you can get that promotion? You don't have the experience, the talent. I don't think so. You really think you're still going to get married? You've tried 3 times. Hadn't happened yet. You're getting kind of old. Let that go in one ear and out the other. People don't determine your destiny. God does.
We have to own our own happiness. Not take it away from you. We have to demand that they make you happy. Your kids are not going to make you happy. Your spouse is not going to make you happy. Your house is not going to make you happy. Your happiness is responsible for those things that we're going to work to independently of your wife and keep them money and all of that. And not necessarily the man who's going to take responsibility of that peace and that joy and that contentment inside of yourself.
But how real is the message that you're putting out? How authentic, how valuable is the product that you have? You know, are you expressing yourself as fully, authentically, passionately as you possibly can?
Fewer know how to sell, almost no one knows how to close. When you can close anyone at any time, It means that you have the ability to generate revenue at any moment.
You can't be what you can't see. If I never meet a billionaire, I wouldn't want to
So the question is not I can't, is either you don't want to and that's perfectly fine. Then don't say I can't, just say I don't want to. Decide, commit. When you say, well, I can't, does that mean you don't know how to do it? Because you could go get the how to. There's so much how to on the internet. You could go find a way, you can take a program, go to an event, learn from a mentor, do something. You have the abilities.
So it has to be there, that literally there's something in you is that the core of your soul. The best you can spend it on. I can't give that to you. You can't give that to me. When you follow your true passion, I can't.
Responsible for your life. And if you're sitting around waiting on somebody to save you, to fix you, to even help you, you are wasting your time because only you have the power to take responsibility to move your life forward.
Nobody is going to cry for you. They have their own tears. One thing I'm positive about is how ROI negative complaining is and how much I'm trying to suffocate the practice of it. I really have been fascinated by people that have changed their mindset into understanding that everything that is not going well right now is their fault. It has been remarkably important to me in understanding that everything that I'm not happy about is on me. It's a remarkably interesting brain twist. The amount of energy spent on things that you can't control versus being accountable to what you can control has been a huge separator for me in the last 4 or 5 years as I've dug deep.
I always tell people the most valuable lesson I got from my mentor, Jim Rohn, was I asked my father what 2 jobs. We were always broke, we had no money for food, and we lived in a community we moved to which was, I thought they were all rich and they had outside tracks. It was lower middle class, but compared to what we were before, these people seemed rich compared to us. And I just didn't understand it. And Jim said to me, Tony, it's not about the value of your soul, it's about the value of you in the marketplace. And your father's skills are not that valuable.
Someone said we have 2 primary choices in life. We can either accept conditions as they exist, or we can take the responsibility to change them. See, a lot of people want to exempt themselves from taking responsibility. All they want to do is talk about the problem. Every time you see them, they'll tell you their
exactly what you've been avoiding, and you gotta make a decision to change it. You know exactly what it is. Don't BS anybody. You know what you need to do different. You know the changes you need to make. And if you can do that and stop kidding yourself, you can win. You can overcome your fear, overcome procrastination, whatever that is.
I say to people, you got to participate in your own rescue. You've got to retool yourself. There are no skill sets in community colleges today, for the most part, that are going to prepare you for the economy or job that's there. So what is that going to do? You're just going to waste more money, more time. We need to retool ourselves. The young people aren't going to do it for you.
Even when you're struggling, even when you're discouraged, feel like other people have given up on you, don't ever give up on yourself.
Right now, between me and the person I want to be, between you and the person you want to be, there is a gap of skill set. And that's it. But once you know your mission, and once you believe that you can accomplish anything you set your mind to, then you can do the extraordinary. Now for me, getting out of that space of being lost, of not knowing what I wanted to do with my life, it all came down to needing to earn credibility with myself in very small incremental ways. And I knew if I was going to accomplish anything in my life, I was going to have to get control of my mind. Now, ironically, there's two ways to get control of your mind. Way number one is directly going to the mind, which can be very scary, can be very daunting, very ethereal. It's ephemeral, it's hard to grab onto, it's hard to touch. But way number two is through the body. And so I decided that my Kung Fu was going to be to get very good at developing my body. And in that process, I was going to learn about nutrition, which would allow me to help my mom and my sister. In that process, I was going to earn credibility with myself. And earning credibility with yourself is so important. Do it in micro ways. For me, just showing up to the gym every day was a micro victory. I said I was going to do it, and I did it. Now you have to understand, I hate working out. So for all of you crazy people that get an endorphin rush from running, I hate you all. Running for me is like being stuffed into a meat grinder. There is absolutely nothing pleasurable about it whatsoever. So whatever neurological thing you guys get that you've been blessed with, I have not been blessed with that. So for me, showing up at the gym sucks. Eating a bowl of ice cream is awesome. And so getting to a better place for me was a totally different journey. Thank you. And what that was just showing up every day and putting in the work. It was reading about human metabolism and understanding how what I eat impacts my body. It was earning a little bit of discipline every day, knowing that, well, I did it yesterday, I can do it again today. It was not eating something that I wanted to eat. And most importantly, and if you're taking notes, write this down. It was about changing my identity. Because at the end of the day, identity and values drive behavior. Identity and values drive behavior. So if you want to make a change, you have to change your vision of who you are. You have to begin telling yourself a different narrative. And the narrative you tell yourself about yourself is everything. And if you tell yourself that you're a scared, undereducated kid from Tacoma whose family has never accomplished anything, let me tell you what you will become. A scared, undereducated kid from Tacoma who never accomplishes anything, because that's what you believe. You tell yourself that story enough, and it will become real. But on the flip side, you could tell yourself a story of you're a learner. You learn faster than most people. You're willing to put in more work than most people. You're willing to read more books than most people. You're willing to spend an inhuman amount of time every day improving your mind simply by getting new ideas into the system. And that you will admit that you're wrong faster than anybody else. That you won't let your ego get in the way. And you tell yourself that story over and over and over. So when somebody comes and tells you how stupid you are, that you're just a dumb kid from Tacoma, you go, you're right. That's amazing. Thank you for pointing out that flaw, because now that I'm aware of it, I can improve it because I'm the learner.
And once I switched my narrative to being the learner, it didn't matter where I started, it only mattered where I was trying to go. And as long as I had that clarity, then I could execute, because I believed I could do anything I set my mind to without limitation.
You don't need a better economy. You don't need better seed and soil. In fact, when it comes to seed and soil and rain and sunshine and seasons and the miracle of life, that's all you got. Now, what if you blame this stuff? Then you're blaming all you got. If you blame the economy, and you blame the schools, and you blame the teachers, and you blame the sermons, and the preachers, and you blame, the marketplace, and you blame the company and company policy, what else is there? When some people get through their blame list, there's nothing else. That's all there is. And if you blame the only thing you've got to work with, I'm telling you, it's called mistake colossal. In not understanding that that's all you've got to work with. And if this is all you've got to work with, then you don't change the seed, and you don't change the soil, and you don't change the rain, and you don't change the sunshine, you don't change the seasons. Right? Guy says, I'll take 3 springs, 4 summers, 9 falls, no winters. No! You can't fool with this stuff. You got to take it like it comes. Then what do you change to make your life work well? You got to start with your philosophy. Guess what I had to do at age 25 in order to change my own future? I had to change my mind. I had to change my thinking. I had to change my philosophy. I was messed up on what was causing my problem. Once I got that straightened out, that all the stuff I blamed, the government, taxes, marketplace, economy, and things cost too much, negative relatives, cynical neighbors, once I got rid of that and started going for where the real problem was, which was me, I'm telling you, my life exploded into change. My bank account changed immediately. My income changed immediately. My whole life took on a whole new look and color immediately. And the early results I got from making these philosophical changes tasted so good, I've never stopped the process from meditating. I'm telling you, with a little consideration of the refinement of your sail, by setting a better sail, refining your philosophy, your whole life can start to change from today on. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. You don't have to wait till next month. You don't have to wait till spring. You don't have to wait till 93 to start this whole process immediately. I recommend it. Now, some people do so little thinking, they don't even have their sail up. You can imagine where they're going to wind up at the end of this week, at the end of this month, at the end of this year. Now's the chance to change, process all this information. Here's the definition of success and failure. Just make this note. Here's failure. A few errors in judgment, repeated every day. Now you can automatically assume, I say, I can understand that. A few errors in judgment repeated every day. For 6 years, my father, 88 years old, he's never been ill, still hasn't retired. Not long ago, midnight, we're getting ready to go to bed. We drilled a new well, got some extra water, got some more acres going, he's all excited. At midnight, we're getting ready to go to bed. My father's eating what he calls his midnight snack. A little bite to eat before you go to bed. Don't have to go to bed hungry. And I'm watching him eat this midnight snack. Guess what he had? An apple, a few graham crackers, and a glass of grapefruit juice. I said, no wonder my father's so healthy. My mom taught us all those good health practices. Taught me when I'm growing up, right? I'm an only child. I've never been ill. Passed the big 5-0 some time ago. My 2 daughters, 32, 33, never been ill. My grandkids, never been ill. I'm telling you, the legacy lingers on. As I watched my father have this midnight snack, suddenly it occurred to me. I know that's part of it. An apple, what? A day. That's gotten to Dallas-Fort Worth, right? An apple. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Good question for this intelligent audience. What if that's true? You say, well, Mr. Rohn, if that's true, that would be easy to do. Then what's the problem? It's easy not to do. It's easy not to adopt it as your own personal philosophy. Or the guy messed up the saying. The guy says a Hershey bar a day. Say no. No. No, you've been watching too much television. It is not Hershey bar. You've got to be smarter in philosophy than to fall for the Hershey bar today when it's an apple a day. You've got to be smarter than that. And if you make that kind of an error in judgment every day for 6 years, I'm telling you, it'll accumulate into disaster. Sometimes the first year you say, well, you know, I'm so healthy now, what difference is it going to make? You've got to be smarter than that. Just because disaster doesn't fall on us at the end of the first day doesn't mean disaster isn't coming. You've got to be so smart that you look down the road and say, will the errors in my present judgment of philosophy, what's that going to cost me in 1 year, 6 years, 1 month, 6 months? I'm telling you the money cost and the health cost and the success cost is too gigantic if you look down the road a little ways and say, are there errors in my current judgment like an apple versus a Hershey bar? Is that just a good illustration of some of the rest of my errors in judgment? If it is, that's where I found myself at age 25. I started working when I was 19. I met my teacher who helped turn my life around when I was 25. That's 6 years. At the end of the first 6 years of my economic life, I've got pennies in my pocket. I've got nothing in the bank. The creditors are calling saying, hey, you told us the check was in the mail. I'm embarrassed. I'm behind on my promises. I live in America. I'm 25-year-old American male. I got a nice family, every reason to do that. And I'm messed up. Now, what's messed up? I used to think it was the community that was messed up. The country was messed up. The government was messed up. Those Democrats ever get to the White House, that'll really mess things up. The Republicans stay in power, that'll really mess things up. The economy was messed up, interest rates are messed up. I thought all this stuff was messed up. Then I found out that's not what was messed up. I was criticizing the only thing I had to work with. What was really messed up was my own personal philosophy. My own errors in judgment in my own personal philosophy brought me in 6 years to pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, and trying to explain why I wasn't doing well living in America. 25-year-old American male, got a family, every reason to do well. Now, once I understood this, here's the formula for failure: errors in judgment, being lax about developing your own personal philosophy. I'm telling you, it's called accumulated disaster.
If you're up under attack, there's something to
be gained. See, you got all dressed up not to run, you got dressed up to stand, not to give place or territory, not to evacuate the turf that's yours.
And it's in these moments right now that so often we feel like backing down.
Life ain't gonna be easy. Ain't nobody gonna hand you nothing. You still gotta go to work. You still gotta compete against everybody in your industry. Life's still gonna happen while you trying to blow up.
It's the obstacles in our life. It's the hardships. It's the mountains that we climb that make life worth living. But the mountain's not supposed to stop you. Your mountain has the materials for your miracle.
Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean you have to be afraid. Just because you feel discouraged doesn't mean you have to be discouraged. Just because you have fear doesn't mean fear has to have you. It's hard to handle it. You got to fortify yourself and say, come on with it. I've got to step into it. If you're going to be successful in this game, you got to have a dog within you. You got to know it's a dog fight, and you got to go get that fight.
A man's character is not judged after he celebrates a victory, but by what he does when his back is against the wall. So no matter how great the setback, how severe the failure, you never give up.
Grab and seize this opportunity like you've never seized anything in your life before to make something remarkable of it. Take advantage. Don't be lazy, especially in the spring. Don't be distracted, especially in the spring. You've got to take advantage of every spring that comes because it's only a handful. Life isn't forever. It finally comes to an end. One of the Beatles wrote, all things must pass. The sunrise doesn't last all day. The spring doesn't last all summer. The sunset doesn't last all night. We all have periods of time, pieces of time. And when those pieces of time comes, what you've got to do is take advantage
so that